Policy Board meeting for December the 12th, 2024. And the first item is to do a roll call to verify the quorum. Aaron Easter.
Present.
Is Kevin Underwood or Jody on? It's listed as tentative. Evidently not. Okay. I just got a text from Tom Murtaugh. He said he is waiting for somebody to admit him. So could we have somebody from IT please admit Commissioner Murtaugh? Admit Commissioner Murtaugh. Can Tippy Tech verify for me if Commissioner Murtaugh has been admitted into the meeting?
I do not see Commissioner Murtaugh.
Okay, he's trying, he says. It says he's waiting for him to be admitted. We'll skip him for now. Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Steven Snyder. On my sheet, it says Steve was going to be here. Steve not here. Okay, Larry Leverance.
Here.
Cindy Murray.
Here.
Julie Ginn.
Here.
Deb Calder.
Here.
Okay, I hear what appears to be Tom. It looks like you're here now. Is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay, let the record reflect that Tom Murtaugh is also present. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Those have been communicated to you in your packet. I hope you've had a chance to review those, and I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Murtaugh.
Do I have a second?
Second, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Are there any discussion or changes that anybody saw? Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Cindy Murray.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Deb Calder.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the APC progress report. And under that, we have the MPO update with several items on that. And the first one, the first three, Doug, looks like you're up.
Mayor, we actually do have one thing before that, the safety performance measures and targets.
Goodness, you're right.
We do need to vote on. Yeah.
No, thank you. I apologize for that. I'm trying to get everybody that's here, and I missed that.
Oh, that's okay.
We do have the 2025 safety performance measure and targets, and Tim will be handling that.
Yes. So this is something that we do annually. It is required by federal law that the State Department of Transportation set these safety performance measures and that they have some targets that they try to make progress towards in order to reduce fatalities and serious injuries along our roadways. Now, in order for us to work with them on that as a local MPO, we have two choices. We can either set our own targets, which is a lot of work and a lot of additional, data tracking and so on, or we can do what we would like to do, which is to concur with the state's targets. So there are targets for 5 different things: number of fatalities, rate of fatalities per 100 million miles traveled, number of serious injuries, rate of serious injuries per 100 million miles traveled, a number of non-motorized fatalities and non-motorized serious injuries. And so all of those targets that NDOT has set are listed in this letter that we're showing on the screen. And because we are not setting our own targets, the action we would like you to take is a little unusual. So we have a specific motion that we would like someone to make, which is that the policy board authorizes our executive director, Ryan, to sign this letter expressing our support for NDOT's targets. If there are any questions at this time, I'd be happy to take those.
Would say so moved, Gary.
Second, Cindy.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? And Tim, we've kind of done it this way in the past, right?
Yes, that's correct. This is how we've done it ever since this new legislation came into place with the FAST Act.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter,
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh,
Aye.
Gary Schroeder,
Aye.
Larry Leverance,
Aye.
Cindy Murray,
Aye.
Julie Ginn,
Aye.
Deb Calder.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we'll move to the APC progress report, MPO update. And the first three items fall to Doug. So Doug, we'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. To begin with, item one is the DNR Visionary Trail. If you have not already heard, DNR is in the process of updating its statewide trail plan. And as a portion of that, they are also revisiting their statewide visionary trails. And this is specifically addressing the large trails that interconnect cities and areas all throughout the state of Indiana. On November 14th, they held a charrette in Indianapolis, and there was a good turnout, it would appear, for the entire state. And we had also a very good representation here from the greater Lafayette area. Basically, they introduced us to their process and what they are wanting to do, added some additional information, and basically wanted to know they have the old plans that were posted. They would like to see if there has been any trails that have been removed or deleted, any trail alignments that have been moved, or any new trails that have been in adopted plans throughout the state. So they broke us into three categories: Northern Indiana, Central Indiana, and Southern Indiana. Some of us actually went to both or either one, so we had good representation in the either northern and central section because Tippecanoe County was right on the line. So we thought it'd be best to be at least in both. It's kind of interesting in that in one of the sessions for, I think, the northern part, we had a lot of good discussion up front, and then we broke out and talked to individuals. They had a lot of maps that were posted. We put a lot of comments on there. And it was at that session that they actually then went through and then provided feedback as in, or I should say, a summary as to what the overall comments were, just to touch on the major ones. On the other section, they just had us basically, again, discuss individually, discuss with the DNR folk, put comments on the maps, but didn't do a summary of that specific exercise. After the lunch break, then we came back and gathered, and then they reviewed generally the major comments as to what everybody was saying map wise, and a couple of the interesting ones I'd like to point out. Two specifically. One is more funding to construct trails. It still continues to be a very popular and a demand for projects. There needs to be additional funding. And they also wanted to see if there could be a possibility of what funding is out there, not only make it available for construction, but also for maintenance. That was a big struggle that were a lot of cities, towns, and counties were seeing is, yeah, we can build them, but then how do we maintain them? So overall, it was a good exercise, and we provided a lot of input in both discussion and then written format. So just wanted to brief you on that exercise. Regarding the item 2, the 2026 tip status, we are officially, of course, mentioned earlier in the process of developing a new one, and this will be for 2026 to 2020 or 2030. Yeah, kind of surprising. No longer in the 2020s, but 2030. So we in October put out a call for projects for our local federal funds. The deadline for those submittal was last Friday, and we have reviewed or received the request for these federal funds and took those requests, condensed them down into a spreadsheet basically for everyone to review. And that is actually up and available on our webpage. Likewise, we've been working with the NDOT central office and with the district office and have two different lists for NDOT projects. One that's financially constrained. Those were projects that we received from the Indianapolis office, but there are a lot of projects that weren't listed that are actually in the works right now or were recently approved. So we are doing something new this year in that we know at some point those will be added back into this new tip. So we have an information only unfunded list. So we have that complete list as well. So instead of having to make those changes when we know the central office or the district will request them, we are already going through the process to show them in the tip. So when the debt request does come, we can simply just modify the tip but with a simple letter. So we're going through the official process and developing it to show those projects. So for one, the lists are up and available on our tip webpage. And then also this week is rather exciting and busy for us. This is our official public information kickoff week. Yesterday, we sent over 100 letters to various persons, organizations, and et cetera, telling them that we are starting this process. We went through various locations throughout the county and asked notices to be posted. For example, the libraries. We had asked them to actually put notices up so people can actually see them. We've put information on both Facebook and YouTube. And then, of course, the standard, what used to be required, probably still is, public notice in the newspaper. So, of course, this is the big kickoff, and we pretty much have already done that and accomplished that. So, basically, looking forward, the next big milestone is January 15th at the Technical Transportation Committee meeting. That is when we are all going to get together and discuss which projects will be receiving our federal funds. We only have roughly $6.5 million to allocate. So I wish we had more, but we only have that much. And then after that, we have still a very tight timeline. We need to finish the draft document by basically February 28th to submit for NDOT and Federal Highway and Federal Transit Administration review. So our office and staff will be busy working on this document to make sure we hit those deadlines. Usually we're either the first or second one in the state as an MPO to get our draft document done, and that is our goal for this year. Um, and finally, for the third one, this is a very interesting situation we are in. As you may or may not know, that the bid lettings for last month. We had two projects. One, the Morehouse Road um, project, and then the County Road Bridge 527 project. All went to bid letting. We had some very good bids, especially for the Morehouse Road project. And by the way, this is for the next phase of it. And the bids came in extremely low for that project. Matter of fact, we had enough federal funds still sitting there that we actually had ready to obligate for the construction phase. The Bridge 527 project came in a pinch over, so we moved some of those federal funds to both the construction to make it a complete 80-20 project, where 80% is federally funded and 20% is locally funded, and then also pay for what we call construction, inspection, and engineering at the 80-20% level as well. So the additional news is that now we have still a balance of $2.25 million. And basically, we need to find a home for these funds. We are already looking at what to do with them and have started discussion. We will be looking at that and discussing it at our tech meeting next week. We do have a neat opportunity also we are looking at seriously, is that while we received very favorable bids last month, the South Bend MPO did not. They had several projects on their bid letting, and they need between 1.8 and $2 million more federal funds. We are in the position to actually allocate them or trade them for the money. So what we are looking at now is that we have the money. They gave us the target years, which they can repay us back. So we are crunching the numbers to see if we can all make this work to fund all of these projects that are in the pipeline and help out. So basically, you know, this is some good news that we can actually help another MPO. Are there any other questions? I guess I should have asked after each one regarding these three items or comments.
All right. Thank you, Doug. I don't hear any comments. Thank you for those explanations. We appreciate it. And with that, we'll move to the quarterly project progress report, and Tim will be handling that.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the highlights from the quarterly project summary reports that we got last month at our tech meeting. I'm not necessarily going to talk about every project, but I will definitely take questions at the end. So starting with Tippecanoe County, the North 9th Street Road Bridge project is on track for a letting in November of next year. So that's good. That project is moving along. The River Road at 500 North project has been officially closed out, so we're not going to be seeing reports for that any longer. Doug mentioned about the phase 1 of the Morehouse Road project and the bids for phase 2. So that should be on track to proceed as scheduled. Jaeger Road also pretty close to being closed out, just kind of some final accounting going on there with that. And then for bridges 80 and 83, those projects are bundled together. They are both going to be moved back. So they will be letting later than originally anticipated because a Section 106 review may delay the projects and the county wanted to keep them bundled together. Moving on to Lafayette, the South 9th Street project was split into several phases. So costs and schedules will look different for future reports. The cost did go up, but I think we're going to get a much better quality project with some of the changes for that, and we'll get a nice, especially some drainage improvements and some bridge improvements there as well by kind of splitting this out a little bit. Then that second point under Lafayette, it's a little confusing. It's probably a little more accurate to say that this was really for a portion of the Big Four Trail. So the project that was moved out wasn't necessarily for that intersection. It was really for a portion of the Big Four Trail. So that's will probably come back in the future, but it kind of had to be removed for now because of the additional funding that the previous project, the South 9th Street project, will take up. Moving on to West Lafayette. So the federal funding for Soldiers Home Road has been at risk for a while. Unfortunately, they had some delays with the Section 106 review. And because of that, we had originally planned about $250,000 to be allocated to that this year that we won't be able to allocate this year. However, one of the things that Doug mentioned when he was giving his report was about the potential trade with the South Bend MPO. So one of the things we're trying to figure out is if we can get that money back to West Lafayette in a future year. So that is one of the things we're looking at. We're hopeful we can get that 250,000 back to West Lafayette so that they don't have to eat that cost and pay extra in local funds to get that project continuing on schedule. So those were some of the highlights. Are there any questions about anything I covered or anything that I skipped?
All right, not hearing any questions. Thank you, Tim, for that update. And next we have federal funding obligation. Doug, we got that, and then Doug will also have the NDOT 18-month letting list.
Thank you, Mayor. This, of course, is the monthly review that we show status of regarding our federal transportation funds. Even though the two projects were let and we moved federal funds to Bridge 527, when we received the information earlier this month, they did not officially show up on their list, but we did put them on the table below. We've already discussed and pointed out the information regarding Morehouse Road, and it says 527. It says 727. It should be 527. Those should be reported at next month's NDOT report. The only other item I'd like to point out is that if you may recall, we did move some of our federal funds, especially safety funds, to City Bus to address issues at Paramount Drive and Sagamore Parkway. We did process the TIP amendment, but we are still waiting for NDOT to process the STIP amendment. And since the transit section of NDOT only process their amendments on a quarterly basis, this will not be sent to FTA until January. So we are still keeping tabs on this. So that basically, in a nutshell, are all of the changes regarding the funding status. Going on to the 18-month letting list. The specific information, I'd like to point out, the November bid lettings that are shown on your screen. The first project that I've always been keeping track of is the State Road 225 Truss Reconstruction Project, and unfortunately, all of the bids came in well above the engineer's estimate. So, and there were only 2 bids submitted. So, I have not yet heard the status whether it was going to be placed on maybe a January bid letting or whatnot. And once we hear that information, we will pass that along. The other projects, of course, here you have the actual details regarding Morehouse Road and then the Bridge 527 project. And then NDOT did have 2 other projects on US 52, both were thin deck overlays. And there were 2 bids submitted, and the project was awarded to Ram Construction. So just a kind of a brief summary of the bid letting results for November. Looking back at all of the projects that are coming up for basically 2025, we have no projects on the December bid letting. As you see on the left, you see a lot of S's. That means that all of the projects are still on track and on target for those bid lettings. Any comments or questions on this or on the federal funding? Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Doug. We appreciate those updates. Is there anything else to come under other business from anybody participating today, or anybody, or Deb from the state? Or is there anybody who would like to comment on anything on other business? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and check for citizen comments and then start our 1 minute waiting period.
We don't have any currently. We have started the 1 minute timer.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like we do not have any public comments and our timer has expired.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for being here today. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone. And with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Have a second?
Second, Murtaugh.
Thank you. We'll conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Cindy Murray.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Deb Calder.
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned, everyone.
Aye.